आज की वीडियो के अंदर हम बात करने वाले 30 इंटरव्यू क्वेश्चंस जो कि आपसे ऑलमोस्ट सभी इंटरव्यू में पूछे जाएंगे। इस वीडियो को आप एंड तक देखना। इसमें 30 क्वेश्चंस होंगे जो कि आपके हर इंटरव्यू को कवर कर सकते हैं, चाहे आप बिगिनर हो और चाहे आप एडवांस लेवल पर काम कर रहे हो। तो ये वीडियो में आपके 30 मोस्ट इंपोर्टेंट क्वेश्चंस रहेंगे जो कि ऑलमोस्ट सभी एचआर पूछते हैं और सभी कंपनीज में के अंदर ये पूछे जाते हैं।
About yourself. Now, when you answer this first interview question, my advice is to use the format SET. So, SET stands for skills and qualities that you have that are a match for the role. E for experience and or educational qualifications. And then finally T for the type of person you are. So before you go to your interview, remember that format SET. So when they say to you, tell me about yourself, you can talk about the skills and qualities you have, any experience or educational qualifications you have, and also the type of person you are. So here's a great example answer to assist you. Tell me about yourself. Here we go. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be interviewed for this position today. I have applied for the job because I believe the skills and qualities I possess are a match for the job description. I have several years' experience in this industry, which means I can come into your company and make a fast and immediate impact. I am a strong communicator. I work very well both on my own and as part of a team. I will always provide excellent customer service and I will always perform to a high standard whilst under pressure. I am a positive, forward-thinking person and I genuinely believe I can come into the team and help push the company forward towards achieving its goals. Now, if you hire me, you will quickly see a positive return on your investment. That's a brilliant positive answer that sets you up with confidence for the rest of your job interview. Here is the next question that I want you to prepare for. Why do you want to work for us? So this is guaranteed to come up during your interview. And here's my really important tip to help you answer it correctly. Tell the interviewer you are seeking long-term employment with a positive, forward-thinking company and that you want to be a part of a team that are all striving to achieve the same goal. So here's another really strong answer to help you pass your interview. Why do you want to work for us? I've been keen to apply for a job with your company for some time now, and I've kept my eyes open for the right opportunity to be advertised. Now, I want to work for your company because not only do I believe this is a place I can develop and grow as a person, but it is also a place that is clearly driven towards being the best it can be within this sector. Now, the research I carried out before applying points to the fact your company is well run and you clearly support your employees in their work. The people I have spoken to who already work here had nothing but positive things to say about how the business is managed and how everyone is encouraged to be innovative and positive in their approach to their work. So that's another really strong answer to that common interview question, why do you want to work for you? Interview question number 3 is, how would you deal with a difficult co-worker? Here's my tip. Don't fall into the trap of saying you would leave the conflict for your manager to resolve. The interviewer wants to hear that you would sort out the problem yourself. So here's a great example answer to assist you. How would you deal with a difficult co-worker? I would take the lead and try and resolve the conflict myself for the sake of the team and the organisation. We are all grown adults and as such we have a responsibility to get on with each other, to compromise where appropriate and to do our best to work harmoniously to achieve our combined team goals. I would speak to the person with who the conflict was with, to ascertain the cause of it before suggesting a way forward that we were both comfortable with. I am confident that we could sort out our differences and move forward quickly. That's another really strong answer for you. Interview question number 4. Why do you want this job? Now, they will ask all the other candidates this same interview question. So it is imperative we give the interviewer an answer that makes you stand out from the competition. Here it is. Why do you want this job? Here we go. I want this job because the job description is a close match for my own skills, qualities and experience. Now, this means I can come into the position and make an immediate impact. I want this job because it is with your company. You are clearly innovative, forward thinking, and you want to continually grow and develop. We spend a lot of time at work, and I only want to work for a positive employer that supports its staff to help them do a great job. Finally, I want this job because I feel in the long term there will be opportunities for me to grow, develop and advance professionally within the company. So you see that we are being very positive throughout all of our answers, and that's really, really important if you want to pass your interview. Question number 5. Tell me about a time you provided excellent customer service. Now, this is what is called a behavioural interview question. And my advice is to use the STAR technique to structure your response. Now, the STAR technique stands for situation. You briefly outline the situation you were in. Task, you explain the task that needed to be done. You then go into detail about the action that you took and the action others took, and then you finish off and tell the interviewer the results following your actions, and you should always make sure the results are positive. So the STAR technique is situation, task, action, result. Here's my example answer that uses STAR for the question, tell me about a time you provided excellent customer service. A customer contacted our company by telephone because they wanted to order a product online. They were extremely nervous about using our online payment system, and they were seeking reassurances. Now, it's my task to explain the online payment process to them and also talk them through how to choose a product from our website and then make the secure payment. I asked the customer numerous questions to find out which products they needed. Once they had chosen the product, I explained how the online payment process worked and how their card details were 100% secure. I then spent a considerable amount of time walking them through the payment process. Now, once they had made the payment, they thanked me for my time, and I contacted them a couple of days later just to follow up and make sure they had received their product. So that's a perfect example of when someone has provided excellent customer service, and you can see there how effective the STAR technique is. Here's the next interview question. What's your greatest achievement? Now, where possible, give an answer that explains something you achieved with a previous employer. Perhaps you helped a previous employer successfully launch a new product, or even break previous company sales figures for a particular year. Now, if this is your first job interview, talk about either your educational qualifications, something you did for charity, or even how you won a team sporting event. Here's my example answer to that common interview question. What's your greatest achievement? Here we go. My greatest achievement has to be in my previous role when I worked as part of a team that managed to increase company sales by 25% in a year. We achieved this by successfully launching new company products online and by upselling to previous customers. Now, the shift to marketing our products online made a massive difference to our sales figures, and I was very proud to be a part of the team that had so much success in that particular year. Question number 7. Tell me about a time when you were under pressure at work. What was the situation and how did you get through it? Now, the best way to answer this difficult behavioural interview question is to give a situation you were in when you had to work to a strict time scale. Because if you add a time pressure to the answer, it will be appealing to the vast majority of employers and hiring managers. So here's my example answer to help you. Tell me about a time when you were under pressure at work. What was the situation and how did you get through it? It was Friday afternoon and my manager came into the office to ask for a volunteer to put together some company sales figures which they needed urgently for a meeting at 4 p.m. Now, I put my hand up and volunteered to do the job for my manager. It was my responsibility to put together 3 years worth of historical company sales figures based on product type, serial number and the total sales generated. Now, I literally had 3 hours to complete the task, so I set to work immediately. Now, to make sure I completed the task on time and to the right standard, I created a spreadsheet with 3 columns and I then worked through each product meticulously, cross-checking as I went. Now, I only stopped for a short break once, and by the time 4 p.m. had come along, I had presented the figures to my manager. I enjoy working under pressure, and my ability to remain calm and work meticulously is an advantage in situations like this. Another really good answer, and you can see that all of these questions are really going to help you to pass your interview. Question number 8, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Now, when answering this common interview question, put yourself in the shoes of the employer. What do they want to hear from your answer? Well, they want to hear 3 things. Number 1, that you will still be working for them in 5 years' time. Number 2, that you will have developed to become a highly trusted and productive member of their team. And number 3, that you will help other people to get up to speed when they join the company. Here's my example answer. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? In 5 years from now, I will hopefully still be working for you, either in this role or perhaps even having gained advancement to a higher level. In 5 years, I will have developed into a trusted, loyal and committed member of the company who can be relied upon to do a great job for you. I feel in 5 years' time, I will have sufficient experience and expertise to help train up newer members of the organisation as and when they join. Another cracking answer. Question 9. What did you like and dislike about your last job? Now, do not say you disliked your boss or your work colleagues. Be respectful, but don't be afraid to say you disliked a particular aspect of your work, especially if it demonstrates you are a driven and enthusiastic person. Here's my example answer to help you. What did you like and dislike about your last job? There were many things I liked, such as the team I was a part of and how we all pulled together to get things done during tasks and projects. I enjoyed the supportive working environment and the fact my manager was prepared to send people on training and development courses to ensure we all had the right skills and qualities needed to do our jobs properly. I also liked the fact my manager wasn't afraid to say when she thought we could have done something better. This always ensured we all progressed both as individuals and as part of a team. Now, the only thing that slightly frustrated me about my last job is I did not feel we were ambitious enough in moving forward as a company. We were successful, but I felt we could have achieved many more things, especially if we had embraced digital technology and the advertising opportunities that come with it. That's the perfect answer to that question. What did you like and dislike about your last job? Question 10. Describe a time when you disagreed with your boss. Wow, this is a tough one. But here's my tip. Again, use a STAR technique. to give a great answer. Do not say, I would never disagree with my boss. This interview question is assessing your ability to disagree with your manager or supervisor in a constructive and beneficial way. Here's my example answer. Describe a time when you disagreed with your boss. I had been resolving a difficult customer complaint and I needed to speak to my manager to get approval to give the customer a full refund and a replacement product. Now, my proposal went against company guidelines, but after dealing with a customer, I felt this was the best way forward. When I put forward my proposal, my boss said no. He told me to only offer a replacement product and not a refund. Now, I explained to my boss how I felt this was the wrong thing to do. I explained that I had spoken to the customer at length, and because they had been a loyal, high-spending customer of ours over many years, we were in danger of losing their custom moving forward if we did not agree to their demands. There was also the potential of them leaving a negative review online, which could cost the company in lost sales revenue moving forward. Now, by remaining calm and by explaining my thought process with clarity and purpose, I was able to persuade my manager to agree to my proposal. That's a really good answer. Question 11. What's your least favourite task? Now, be careful not to say something that is part of the job description. Here are two good answers to use depending on the job you are applying for. What's your least favourite task? So sample answer number 1 is for non-admin roles. I would say my least favourite task is doing repetitive admin tasks. However, I do see these as an important part of my job and I will always do them diligently and professionally. Sample answer number 2 is for those people who are being interviewed for admin roles. My least favourite job is professional development training, as it takes me away from my day-to-day admin duties. However, I see it as an important part of my work and I will always undertake any training and development with diligence and professionalism. So there's two really good answers there to that common interview question. What's your least favourite task? Question 12. Tell me about a time you took the initiative to solve a difficult problem. Now, taking the initiative is one of the most important qualities needed at work because it means you are not afraid to take the lead when something needs resolving and you can come up with solutions to difficult problems. Here's my example answer to help you. Tell me about a time you took the initiative to solve a difficult problem. A supplier contacted our company one day to explain a product they had been supplying us with was no longer available. This was a major problem because we already had several orders from customers who were waiting on this product. I saw it as my responsibility to use my initiative to find an alternative supplier who could supply the product moving forward. So I started researching online alternative suppliers. I looked at their business history, their reviews and their online company accounts to make sure they were reliable and trustworthy. I then drew up a short list of 3 companies and I contacted all of them to obtain quotes to suppliers with this product. After speaking to all 3 companies, I chose the one that could provide the best value for money and that could also quickly supply us with the product so the customers who had already ordered the product were not left waiting. Another great answer. Here's a really difficult question. Question 13. What are your strengths and weaknesses? Now, my advice, my tip, is to give 4 or 5 strengths that are a good match for the job you are applying for, and make sure you refer to the job description if there is one. And then just give 1 weakness that is not a requirement of the role. And it is important to say you are always seeking to improve on your weaknesses at the end of your answer. Here we go. What are your strengths and weaknesses? My strengths include my ability to learn things very quickly and to work alone unsupervised to a high standard. My strong communication skills and how I am a people person are also other strengths. I enjoy providing great service to customers, and I will always positively represent your company brand. I am someone who adapts well to change, and I view it as an important aspect of both my own personal progression and company growth. My weakness is the fact I am not yet confident at speaking in front of large groups of people or giving presentations. However, this is certainly one area I want to improve in, and I've been reading a great book that has been helping me to start building confidence in this area. I am the type of person who is always open to constructive feedback, so if you want me to develop in a particular area, just let me know and I will take the steps needed to develop. And you'll see that that weakness is a really good one. It will do you no harm in the vast majority of job interviews. Question 14. Tell me about a time when you did something at work that had a positive impact on your team or the organisation. So doing something positive at work could include saving the business money, providing great customer service that goes above and beyond what is expected, helping to increase sales, making a suggestion that improves systems or processes, or even undertaking a training course that improves your working efficiency. Here's my example answer. Tell me about a time when you did something at work that had a positive impact on your team or the organisation. Here we go. One Friday afternoon, I had completed my work for the day, so I decided to do a task that I had wanted to do for some time. Now, the company had used the same office resources supplier for many years, and I felt we were spending way too much money with them. We had never negotiated a better deal, and I felt there were considerable savings to be had. I assessed how much we spent each month before drawing up a list of all the products we ordered regularly from our supplier. I then contacted several new office suppliers by telephone to get quotes, and 2 of them came back with very competitive prices that could potentially save the company $300 each month. Over the year, this would be a saving of $3,600. I presented my findings to my manager, who then used this information to go back to our current supplier to negotiate a better deal. That's a cracking answer to that interview question. Question number 15. So we are coming up to halfway through the presentation. Why should we hire you? So when you answer this common but difficult interview question, it is important to use the following 3 phrases in your answer. Number 1, add value. Number 2, commercially aware. And number 3, fast learner. So here's a great answer to help you that uses those 3 words and phrases. Why should we hire you? You should hire me because, having studied the job description and the requirements of the role, I can come into the position and quickly add value. I am a fast learner, which means you won't have to spend your valuable time and effort training me up and supervising me for weeks on end. You should hire me because I am commercially aware. This means I understand that for your business to be successful, I must come into the role, do everything to a high standard, and always represent your business positively and loyally. So that's another really good answer to that common interview question. Why should we hire you? Question number 16. Here we go. Talk about a time when you had to work closely with someone whose personality was different from yours. So this question is assessing your ability to willingly and cooperatively work with anyone within a team. It takes all types of personality to make a strong team. So give a specific example using the STAR technique where you worked with someone who had a very different personality to yours? Here's my example answer. Talk about a time when you had to work closely with someone whose personality was very different from yours. Here we go. In my previous role, a new member of our team joined the organisation, and I volunteered to help them settle into the role and to teach them how to carry out their duties to the correct standard. Now, she was very nervous and shy, and when I spoke to her, it was clear that English was not her first language. Now, it was my responsibility to welcome her to the team, to help make her feel valued, and to ascertain her level of skill so I could put a plan of action in place to train her. Now, because of her shy personality, I wanted to encourage her to have more confidence in her abilities. It was clear she was going to be good at her job, but I just needed to help her get over the initial anxiety of joining a new team that she was unfamiliar with. Now, by introducing her to all team members and by being patient with her whilst going through company procedures and training, her confidence levels started to improve dramatically. Within 2 weeks of joining, she was a fully trained up and confident member of the team who everyone valued. So that's a really good answer that shows that you can work with different personality types. Question 17. Describe a time when the team you were a part of was undergoing some change. How did the change impact you, and how do you adapt? So change is a very important part of all successful organisations, and for a business or company to stay at the forefront of its industry, change must be embraced by everyone within the team. So when you answer this interview question, give a specific answer that demonstrates you always embrace change positively and you adapt to it quickly, because that's what they want to hear in your answer. So here's a great example response to assist you. Interview question 17. Describe a time when the team you were a part of was undergoing change. How did the change impact you and how did you adapt? Here we go. In my previous job, a new manager came into the team and she wanted to make big changes to the way that we operated. Now, this was a big thing for the team because the previous manager had not changed anything for many years. I was quite excited about the change because I felt there were some things we could improve on. The change impacted me because I had to learn new skills and duties. Some members of the team were negative about the change, but I encouraged them to view it more positively and to see it as an opportunity for personal growth. I adapted by being supportive of the change, by viewing it positively, and by doing all I could to learn the new duties quickly and diligently. Change is a good thing, and if you embrace it, positive things can happen. That is the best way to answer that difficult interview question. Interview question number 18. What motivates you? My advice is to give a mixture of personal and professional motivators, but do not say you are motivated by the weekends because you won't get the job that you're after. So here's a great answer to help you. Interview question 18. What motivates you? I am motivated by several things. I am currently saving up for a deposit to buy my first house, so I am motivated by that. I know the only way I will achieve that goal is if I work hard, I do a good job for my employer, and I achieve long-term stable employment. I am also motivated at work by continuous improvement. Now, we spend a lot of time at work, and I want to feel my time spent there is being put to good use. If I am working in a positive environment alongside other like-minded people who are all trying to do a good job, improve and develop, then I feel highly motivated and happy. So you can see there that by using personal motivators and professional motivators, it allows you to give a really strong answer. Interview question 19. Tell me about a time when you had to collaborate with a coworker who was difficult to work with. Now, this is a difficult interview question to answer correctly. It is assessing your ability to put differences aside and to focus on the task in hand. It also assesses your ability to build positive relationships with your co-workers. So here's a great example answer to assist you. Interview question 19. Tell me about a time when you had to collaborate with a co-worker who was difficult to work with. Here we go. I was working on a challenging project with 4 other people. One of the team members was very difficult to deal with. He was overconfident, opinionated, and quite abrupt in his style of communication. Now, for the sake of the project, it was important that we all got on together, so I focused on trying to build a good relationship with him. During team meetings, I encouraged him to use his strengths to the team's advantage. He was very good technically, and he was very enthusiastic, so I suggested he should get more involved in the practical side of the project delivery. He agreed to this, and his enthusiasm for getting the project delivered on time rubbed off on the rest of the team. By focusing on his strengths as opposed to his weaknesses, I was able to develop a strong working relationship with him throughout the duration of the project. That's a very clever answer to that difficult interview question, because it shows you can assess a situation and get the best out of somebody. Interview question 20. Describe a time when you had to be flexible in a work situation. Now, the most effective way to answer this interview question to gain the highest scores possible is to give a situation where you volunteered to help your employer when asked to. So here's a great answer to guide you. Describe a time when you had to be flexible in a work situation. It was 9 a.m. on a Monday morning, and my supervisor came into the work area to ask for a volunteer to go and work in another department within the company to help, as someone from their team had called in sick. Now, despite not knowing anything about their area of expertise, I quickly put my hand up because I saw this as an opportunity to learn something new. Now, when I arrived at the new department, the supervisor briefed me on my duties for the day. I was required to deal with customers on the telephone and respond to their queries using a predetermined systematic approach that was written down on laminated cards. I spent the first 10 minutes familiarising myself with the task and the cards before setting to work answering the calls. During the day, I managed to successfully handle over 70 calls, and it was a great experience for me to find out how a different side of the company operated. It's another cracking answer. Interview question 21. Describe a time you had to give a person difficult feedback. Now, the situation you give to this interview question can either be work related or from your personal life. Demonstrate your ability to give honest feedback to someone using tact and diplomacy. Here's a great answer to guide you. Describe a time you had to give a person difficult feedback. Whilst working in a previous role, I noticed a work colleague was making numerous foolish mistakes with their work. They appeared unfazed by their mistakes, and I was concerned they would start to have a negative impact on the team if left unchecked. As their co-worker, I felt I had a responsibility to say something. I needed to use tact and diplomacy to encourage them to improve. I spoke to my work colleague in private, and I asked them if they were okay, to which they said they were. I then mentioned the mistakes they were making, and I asked them why they felt they were making so many. Now, initially they were quite defensive, but I persevered diplomatically. I said that I was concerned that if they continued to make the mistakes, it would not only affect the team, but they could end up in trouble with our manager. I encouraged them to change, and I offered to help them if they were struggling with their work. Now, by having the confidence to have that difficult conversation with my coworker, it made a huge difference to their work. And from that day onwards, they never made the same mistake again, and I am glad that I intervened. Interview question number 22. Describe yourself in 3 words. Now, when answering this interview question, don't be afraid to sell yourself, and remember to explain why you chose the 3 words that you have. Here's another great answer to help you pass your job interview. Describe yourself in 3 words. I would describe myself as loyal, self-motivated, and commercially aware. Being a loyal employee means you can trust me to do a good job and to always be a good role model for your company. Being self-motivated means you will never have to pick me up for not doing my job properly, either on time or to the necessary standard. And being commercially aware means that I respect the fact that the only way your business will thrive is if people like me do a good job for your company, and I also seek to improve and develop year on year. So that's a clever way to answer that common interview question, describe yourself in 3 words. Don't just give the 3 words, explain why you think they are suitable to you. Question 23. How do you respond to stress and pressure? Now, stress and pressure, as you know, are part of everyday working life. So show you are not fazed by the stress or pressure, and that you cope with it by remaining calm and focused on your job and by being organised in your work. So here's my example answer to help you pass your job interview. Interview question 23. How do you respond to stress and pressure? I see stress as part of everyday working life, and I feel I am at my best when the pressure is on. If we are working to a tight deadline, then I enjoy the challenge of getting my tasks completed on time so the team can meet its objectives. I cope with stress and pressure by keeping fit, by remaining calm at work, and by ensuring I plan and organise my work well in advance. Another really good answer. Interview question 24. Describe a time when you got frustrated or angry at work. Now, the most effective way to answer this interview question is to talk about how you got passionate about a situation that impacted the organisation you were working for. Do not say, oh, I never get frustrated or angry, because we all do from time to time. Here's my example answer. Interview question 24. Describe a time when you got frustrated or angry at work. I very rarely get frustrated or angry at work, as I genuinely have a calm head. However, one situation comes to mind where a supplier let us down at the last minute, and this frustrated me because it meant some of our customers would not receive their goods on time. Now, I shared my frustrations with the supplier on the telephone, and they were left well aware that their actions would have a negative impact on our customers, which was not acceptable. Now, once I had calmed down, I set about trying to find a new supplier so our customers would not be left waiting too long for their goods. I would like to think my frustration in this situation was simply down to my passion for our customers and for ensuring they got what they paid for. So you'll see there that the frustration demonstrated is in relation to an external supplier and not somebody within the team or the organisation. And that's how I would answer that difficult interview question. Question 25. How would you deal with a customer complaint? Now, there is a very simple process for dealing with customer complaints that only takes a few seconds to learn. So make sure you learn it before you attend your interview. Here it is. Question 25. How would you deal with a customer complaint? I would deal with any customer complaint by following the rules and procedures laid down by my employer. I would start by listening to the customer and asking them relevant and timely questions to establish the reasons for their complaint. Now, once the customer had time to speak and vent their frustrations, I would apologise unreservedly, I would show empathy and understanding, and I would then set about resolving their complaint quickly to their satisfaction. Now, once the complaint had been resolved, I would seek ways to prevent it from happening again, and I would contact the customer in a day or two's time to check they were still satisfied with my resolution. That's the perfect answer to that common interview question: how would you deal with a customer complaint? Question 26. When have you gone above and beyond for a customer? Now, this is your opportunity to show the interviewer what great customer service is. Again, use a STAR technique to structure a brilliant response that shows you have the knowledge and the experience to do a great job for them. Interview question 26. When have you gone above and beyond for a customer? A customer contacted our company on a Thursday afternoon to request that a product be sent out urgent delivery as it was their grandson's birthday the following day. Although they had missed our next day delivery deadline, I wanted to see if I could help them, as I knew how important it was for their grandson to get his present in time for his birthday. I told the customer that I would call them back within the hour once I'd had the time to call around a few courier companies to see if they could deliver for her on time. I then spent the next 20 minutes trying to find a courier service that would pick up the product and deliver it for them. Luckily, I managed to find one. I then called the customer back to deliver the good news, and they agreed to pay the additional delivery service charge for that next day guaranteed delivery. The following day, I called the customer just to make sure their grandson had received his present on time, which he had done. That's a great example of going above and beyond what is expected for a customer. Interview question 27. Why are there gaps in your employment? Now, whilst it is important to be honest about any gaps in your employment, I believe the best way to answer this difficult interview question is to show that you used your time away from work in a positive manner. Here are a couple of strong answers to help you. Interview question 27. Why are there gaps in your employment? Here's answer option number 1. I wanted to spend time travelling before I settled down for long-term employment. Now, during my travels, I gained invaluable life skills, and I learned so much about different cultures and how, when integrated with other cultures, great things can happen. My travelling is now complete, and I am ready to settle down into a positive working routine. Answer option number 2. I took time away from work to raise my family, and I am so glad that I did. I am now very excited about getting back into the workplace, and my family has certainly benefited from the time I spent away from work. The time is now right for me to come back to work, and I am eager to get started. Now, during my time at home raising my family, I kept my knowledge of this industry up to date, and I also studied several online training courses via the website udemy.com. So there's 2 really good answers to that difficult interview question: why are there gaps in your employment? Interview question 28. Why did you leave your last job? Or they might say, why do you want to leave your current job? Now, do not be negative of your previous employer or your work colleagues. If you leave your job on good terms, the interviewer will view this positively. So here's a great model answer. Interview question 28. Why did you leave your last job? Or why do you want to leave your current job? Here we go. I feel I have developed as far as I can in my job, and I am now ready for a new challenge with an exciting employer who has ambitious plans for the future. I have loved every minute of my time at work with my employer, and my boss has been very supportive, but I am now ready to leave and move on, and the only company I want to work for is yours. Now, if you have been made redundant because of what's going on with the pandemic, then just be honest and tell them in that situation, because they will be understanding. It is not your fault. Question 29, interview question 29 is, how did you find out about this job? When you answer it, demonstrate that you've been keeping an eye out for vacancies to come up with their company. Now, this is much better than simply applying on the spot because the job looks appealing. Here's a great answer. Interview question 29. How did you find out about this job? I have been interested in your company for some time now, and periodically I have looked out for the right vacancy to be advertised. Now, although I am very excited about the job, I am more excited about the prospect of working for your company because of your track record and because of your plans for the future. That's a really good answer. Question 30. What are your salary expectations? Now, once I've given you this final interview question and answer, I'm going to give you 3 really smart questions to ask at the end of your interview. So, what are your salary expectations? Now, before you attend your job interview, look to see what the average salary range is for the position you are applying for. Now, you can do this on either the website glassdoor.com or payscale.com. Then ask for a salary that is slightly below the top average range, and make sure you justify why you are asking for that amount. Interview question number 30. What are your salary expectations? Prior to attending the interview, I conducted some research, and I believe the average salary for this position is between $35,000 and $43,000. I believe I am worth a higher salary amount due to my track record and my experience. However, I do appreciate you do not know me, and I have a responsibility to prove to you my worth. Therefore, I would be happy with a salary of $40,000, and I believe you would be getting great value for money by hiring me at that amount. So all you would need to do is carry out your research and change those 2 figures, the lower range and the higher range. So here's 3 smart questions to ask at the end of your job interview. So when your interview comes to a close, they will say, that's the end of the interview. Do you have any questions for us? I would ask 3 questions if it was myself. I would say, yes, what would you need me to concentrate on in the first 30 days of starting in the role? That's a smart question because you are visualizing yourself in the position and you are asking them what they want you to do, so you are preparing. The second question, what advice would you give to the successful candidate who wants to make a positive impression in the role? That question speaks for itself. It's really good. And finally, what has frustrated you about previous employees who have held this position in the past? So there's 3 really good questions. Should you ask any more? It depends on the role that you are applying for. If you feel that you want to ask more questions, don't be afraid to do so. But don't ask any questions about salary unless invited to do so, of course. Also about leave or sick pay or anything like that. Just focus your questions on their company.
क्वेश्चन से अब आप अपनी इंटरव्यू की प्रिपरेशन ऑलमोस्ट कर चुके होंगे और जाओ जल्दी से इंटरव्यू दे के आओ